Welcome to the Gaily Dose. My name is Helmut Lucero Love, and we are so excited for this episode today. We're going to be featuring a very exciting drag theme as we open up Out on Film's 2023 Film Festival. Now, drag has been and always a very important part of gay culture and a very important part of the LGBTQ community. As we think about drag often starts with young men who take on the graces of women. They paint their faces, they take on dresses, and in doing so, at least three magical things happen. The first thing is they entertain us. They make us cry, they make us laugh, they make us think of a world beyond the world outside that maybe wasn't very friendly to our gay or lesbian selves. The second thing that those young boys do is they start to grow a very, very strong sense of self inside that helps to defend the gay community. They say things that need to be said. They often bring us to tears. They can often take spiritual roles in the community. And they even take on activism that often has been a very important part of our fight to be our own people. And the third thing they do is that they actually take on parental roles. A first wave of parents in the gay community has been the drag lives that have often gathered together children, often children who weren't very excited about the fact that their parents had abandoned them, but their drag moms did not. And they created a way in the community to feel a sense of home and feel a sense of family. Something that is so important for the LGBTQ community to have. Regardless of who our parents are, our chosen families are often those that take us through life's journey. And so a drag queen of the South who showed a level of professionalism and had the grace and talent, as I described, of a drag queen was the late Tina Devore. We are so proud, the Gaily Dose with Out on Film today, to commemorate her life with this kickoff of their 2023 season. Out on Film is a great film festival here in Atlanta, which celebrates and lifts up LGBTQ stories for the world to see. And today we welcome you to the House of Love, where we are going to celebrate the 25-year anniversary of this piece, God Save the Queen, a tribute to Tina Devore. Thank you. Thank you. So this episode is brought to you by AHF. AHF is a place you can go to get all of your gay healthcare needs, no matter your letter. Check them out at ahf.org. All right, so also, please check us out. The Gaily Dose, we're on YouTube as a podcast. You can check us out, subscribe to us, share us with your friends. We would love that so very much. So, this film, without further ado, okay, we're going to start with this film, and by way of a little bit of a background, this was shot in the 1990s, okay, by a young Jewish female who is straight but not narrow. Right? She was completing her senior thesis, and she chose the topic of Tina Devore because this wasn't an ordinary thing. You have to remember back to the 1990s. Drag was not the beautiful art form that we see on televisions today, okay? It was often something that was still underground, okay? And now I have heard that there are many other theses that have been done on drag, but not at the time that Nicole did this, okay? So she was kind of cool, okay? She picked something different and daring. And you'll see in this movie some old technology. You're not going to see the new technology we have today. But what you're going to see is this underground art form. And you're going to see the sweat and tears, and just imagine all that went behind creating this back in that day. But you're also going to see a very dignified, very entertaining, and very beautiful mother, Tina Devore. All right, so we are going to start off first with a little bit of a chat with the director of the show. So first off, I want to tell you this section is brought to us by Zucca Pizza. Zucca Pizza is a long-standing supporter of the gay community here in Atlanta. A lot of time and money spent supporting and uplifting us. You can check them out at zuccapizza.com. They have great Italian food, and you will not want to miss it. This little lovely book here, Legends of Drag, has this beautiful section that features Miss Tina Devore and many of the other drag legends across the country. So if you're curious, you want to learn more, you like pretty glossy pictures, check it out. I'm not getting money for that. I literally just think it's a great book. All right, so I'm going to introduce to you Nicole Sage. Let me give you a little bit of information about this illustrious woman sitting here. Nicole Sage is somewhat of an Atlanta native by way of Connecticut. She proudly attended DeKalb Public Schools and is a film school graduate from Georgia State University. Sage is a collaborator, an effective communicator, and is known for developing solid relationships with the community and engaging across all levels in the industry, the entertainment industry, top-tier politicians and high-profile performers. Sage was a film and TV agent in Atlanta, and then segued to a film and TV manager working with Atlanta actors. And she accompanied clients to red carpet premieres in New York, LA, and the Sundance Film Festival. Sage was hired to rebrand Atlanta's film B2B publication Oz Magazine. She produced covers and content advocating Atlanta's film industry, such as Marvel's Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, Netflix Stranger Things, and Warner Brothers Stephen King, and Dr. Sleep. She also wrote a satire column for the Atlanta City magazine, I mean, what else, girl, on dating called Sage to the City, to satisfy her inner identity crisis with Carrie Bradshaw.
Carrie Bradshaw.
Exactly, right. And she filmed this in 1998. She has passionately volunteered with the Hosea Feed the Hungry and Homeless, the AIDS Walk in Atlanta, New York City, and LA. She served on the Youth Leadership Committee for the Jewish Federation of Atlanta. It is an alumni of the Black Jewish Coalition of Atlanta. Volunteered for the Atlanta Jewish Film Festival, and was a featured panelist for the Atlanta Digital World Summit. She is a member of the Georgia Production Partnership and Georgia Public Relations Association. Now, she is also a strategic content provider for us at the Gaily Dose. And I personally will be forever indebted to this woman for the many wonderful guests and connections that she brought to me. She has opened up my mind as a man, as a father, as a creator, and as a leader in our community. She lives here in Atlanta with her husband, John, who is a handsome man, if you have not met him, and their beautiful daughter, Georgia, who's a handful and delight, and their furry little cutie, Lucy Honeychurch, okay? So, welcome, Nicole Sage. All right, so Nicole, why don't you tell us a little bit about what compelled you to make the film?
So in '96, I got into film school, and I really wanted to be a storyteller and using all of the talents that I have in the film medium. And you had to, pass film 1 to get to film 2, which would be with actual shooting the film on color with sound, which was what I really wanted to do. And I had to take in consideration of how realistic it is to get people to gather and volunteer and work as your crew. They have to believe in you and show up on time. And I thought, maybe I could tell this really dynamic story, meeting this person that had such a rich, full, colorful life. And when we were together, I fed off her energy because it was just so regal, and she was so composed, and I was not. Not composed in 1997, 1998. So, but how I was able to be entrusted in the backstage of what it was like to work in drag in the 90s in Atlanta. I had to really build the trust with Tina, and we hit it off right away. It was really hard for me to watch the film today because it's the first time I saw it since she's been passed away.
So I know she would be so amazed that we were all here. And I feel like we are celebrating her, like this is ofrenda, right? And we're like speaking her language and bringing her here, and you know.
Well, we are, and you, if I can compliment you, you captured this beautiful human at a time in her life. She's in her 40s. And she's already mother. You see the mother in her, and it's a dignified, beautiful life. And I, as someone who don't know her, I feel very much like you showed me something that has touched me even tonight.
Oh.
Don't make me cry, girl.
Don't make me cry. That's going to be our next show.
Yeah. So you were you met her, and you were compelled then to do this film, and it's beautifully done. The colors in it are great. The conversation, I love the music and the Barbies, and there's so many
Barbies, so timely.
So timely. You know, there are so many great parts of what you captured in there. Also, you know, you were like, the time it was. What's your favorite part of the movie, and why?
That's a good question. See, the whole thing was, as cliche as it sounds, my favorite part, because I had storyboarded everything. Mm-hmm. And then to see each shot set up and done exactly to my illustrations of how I wanted to tell a story was just blowing my mind. And I had a very short amount of time to make this. I didn't have 28 day out of days, and we could shoot this whole movie. And originally, the Lady Chablis was going to be in the film, and it was going to be where she did a number, and then Tina did a number, and we were going to, but she got arrested the night before, and she missed her call time, so, and I had bought 30 minutes of film to give her, and she was huge at the time because of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yeah.
And what was super cool about Clint Eastwood, he did direct that movie, is that he didn't cast an actor to play Lady Chablis, somebody that was famous, that everybody, she's going to win an Academy Award. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They paid Chablis to play her, and it was so amazing. She did such a performance. The chemistry with her and John Cusack was insane, And so we were all super excited. We were ready and waiting, and we got a call. It's before cell phones.
Before cell phones,
It was before cell phones. Okay. It was 25 years ago. We did, it was made 25 years ago, and so, but we were notified that Chablis would not be showing up.
Yeah.
So, but she did show up for the premiere, with Tina, and she was our mistress of ceremonies, and it was wonderful.
Gotcha.
And that's when we raised $7,000 for Childkind.
Oh wow, great. Childkind.
Childkind is a 501c3 out of Atlanta for babies born with HIV, and that's what Tina wanted. That we raised the money not to pay for my movie, but to donate to Childkind, which we did, and I'm glad that we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would encourage those of you who are listening to check that organization out at childkind.org.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and bring on the rest of the crew, but I will say that, though she wasn't there in the piece, we kind of got to see Mama. And I loved how it focused so much on the mother of her.
She was really nurturing.
Yeah, and you see that, and the spiritual aspects.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I want to go ahead and then introduce then the rest of our panel. We'll bring them up and have them join you, okay? All right, so now we're going to expand the panel. We're going to introduce back again Motion, as well as joined by Jim Farmer. Jim Farmer. Jim Farmer has served as the festival director at Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival, for the last 15 years. It's a lot of years of sweat and blood. He has helped lead this organization to be one of the major LGBTQ film festivals in the country, and an Oscar qualifying one as well. Earlier this year, Out on Film was named as the top film festival in the nation by the readers of USA Today 10 Best. As a journalist, he has written about queer arts for the Southern Voice, the Georgia Voice, for the last 25 years. And last year, he won writing awards for both the NLGJA, the Association of LGBTQ plus Journalists, and the National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards, and was also nominated for the Online Journalist of the Year Award by the latter. Named as the 2019 Businessman of the Year by Out Georgia Business Alliance, Fulmer has been named to Atlanta Magazine's Atlanta's 500 Most Powerful City Leaders in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023.
That's a pay to play.
I know. Jim is also, I gotta love these people up here, they are so qualified. Jim is also an ambassador of the Out Georgia Business Alliance and was on the Atlanta Hawks LGBTQ Pride Council. He lives in Avondale Estates with his very handsome husband, Craig, who is here, and their dog, Douglas. And earlier this month, Jim was named as a Grand Marshal in this year's Atlanta Pride Parade.
Thank you.
All right, so we are so glad, Jim, to host this event together with you. And
Thank you. Thank you all.
Absolutely. So tell us why Out on Film chose to use this event, this film, as kind of the kickoff to your event, your film festival this year.
Nicole. We were literally having lunch about 6 weeks ago in my neck of the woods. Maybe a month. It was a while ago. It was a while ago. And as Nicole does, she pitched me. She was like, I would love to work together. I said, I would love to work together. How about we do this? And this is why this is a film I made a long time ago. And this is why it's important now. Tina Devore, Atlanta Pillar, Atlanta Institution. This would be a way to remember Tina Devore. I mean, during COVID, a lot got lost in the shuffle. I mean, Tina didn't, but it's really time to remember Tina with this. I thought it was just a perfect idea to kick off Out on Film. We love telling stories here. We love telling stories that are about Atlanta. And what's more about Atlanta than Tina Devore? Nicole was a great pitch. I said, yeah, and it worked out. So thank you for the lunch, and thanks for the idea.
Tell us, Motion. As you come out here and think about Tina, you knew her in a way that none of us can imagine. Tell us about her.
When I first moved to Atlanta, Tina Devore took me in. I mean, I was baby dragged back, I was like scared, nervous. I mean, you can tell in that video,
Yeah.
you did a good job, by the way. That was great. But she took me in, and she took me to the bars here in Atlanta and introduced me to everybody and made sure, that they knew me, and they would put me on spots, and then it would lead to big positions. But more than that, she was really a spiritual guider. She would, especially me, because I was a little wild one, she would tell me, come here, calm down, now go back. But she was really good, and she was just really good to sit and talk to, and she can cook too. I mean, we had some really good meals, some really good times, but yeah, she was just well-rounded.
Yeah, and so she sat and spent time with you.
Yes, she did. She would give me my spiritual talks, and she was like, I'm gonna tell you something, here we go. I'm like, Lord, here we go. But but it was all for a good reason, to help me become more of a professional entertainer. Professionalism she was very strong in that. She was very you have to show up and show out, but you also have to, be there, be in the moment, and enjoy the moment, but also, be professional about it.
Now, Nicole, tell me then, what drove you to put this event together, and specifically, why did you think it was important at this time to share this kind of message? It's 25 years, but why?
Just because of all the news recently about how drag is a crime, and Tennessee, I just felt terrible for people that I know, like they're performers and this is art. Nobody should be, not able to perform and show their talent and their art And so because the needle hasn't moved much since 1998, I thought it was important for us to kind of remember we're not as evolved, in my opinion, where we should be socially, and we need to step up our game, globally, I think. And that I wanted people to see that this is how tough it was in 1998 and how tough it is for them in 2023. It was basically to advocate that this is something that everyone has the right to do.
So building on that motion, drag has developed and evolved over time. And tell me a little bit about how it's changed, what's changed for good, and what do you miss about drag that you would encourage people to remember?
What has changed, drag has become phenomenal, It's like, it's just worldwide now, and it's easy to access than before. It's not just an underground thing. And the main thing I love that's changed about it for good is a profession. It's not looked at, oh, she does drag. No, it's like, oh, she's a performer. She's a drag. She has a career, and I love that. That I love. I love the technology of drag right now because when so when I was my age, you had to go in the bars and you had to learn and hang out with people, and you had to really seriously interconnect. Now you don't really have to that. These kids don't. You have the phone, you have computer, you have everything. So I think that's great. I mean, I'm learning myself, so that's good. Yeah. So I'm just all about it.
There's so much access to it.
There's so much access.
And I think there are even performers now that will totally come out, I think they call them Instagram
queens,
drag queens.
TikTok queens.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it is proliferated for sure. Is there anything though about drag that you miss?
I do miss the, you socialize once you get together, but coming up back in the day, you had to learn it from the ground up. You had to go in the bars, you had to meet everybody, you had to really network. And you don't have to do that if you don't want to. That's one thing I kind of miss.
The community connection.
Community connection.
Yeah, which is actually one of those art forms that also somewhat seems to be dying. And
yes.
A lot of times our youth aren't pushed to these spaces where they need to really integrate and talk and learn, and that's why it's still important to make safe spaces for youth. Jim, why is drag such an important art form for our community from your point of view?
Oh, wow. Back when I was growing up, in the days of dinosaurs, several centuries ago, it was much different than it is now. You actually had to go out and meet people and go out to bars and establishments. And when you went to bars, drag queens were just so visible and open and accessible and friendly to people. And they've always been that way. I mean, drag performers are always out there accommodating, hopeful, inventive, bold, and just damn fabulous. And it's just, and drag has always been a component of my coming out years, and I think it will continue to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I thank you all for that. I think that I think there is something about the energy of a room and the energy of people being together, and it's something that drag mothers, and if you think about them bringing their families together and experiencing that, it's something you experience one-on-one, person to person, arm to arm.
Hi, I actually have a question for all three of y'all. When, at the time that you made it, how old were you, and what was your take on entering drag? Like when you first entered drag, and you knew I want to be a performer, like who inspired you?
You made it in 1980.
And he's gay, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
I am very gay,
and like what was your take on drag when you came out? Were you around drag? And Nicole, what was your moment and age when you first saw your first drag queen and said, I want to be in that world?
Great question.
Can you go first?
Yeah.
Well, for me, it wasn't. I grew up in Savannah, Georgia. I'm from Savannah, Georgia, And so they would have all these entertainers coming all the time from all over. And the pageant world was really big back then. And so we were bringing all these pageant winners, and I saw all this glamour and all this. And they were like, you need to get to the city. You know, they're like, Savannah's cute, but you need to come to the city and grow and blossom. And so just sit and learn. And so I would get in there, I would learn from these queens that would come in. And so that's for me. And I moved here probably in my early 20s. And I mean, I was a young wild thing back then. I mean, you know, yeah. But yeah, that's it for me.
I think I was in my early 30s when the film was made. I go back. It's funny, when I came out, like most gay men, the only places to go were bars. And I grew up in the bar. I went to Bone Shakers in Athens, and then I sort of graduated to Atlanta, you know, the Armory, Backstreets, all the great bars. I cherished the moments that I would see Charlie Brown and Tina Devore and Bubba D. And that was my generation of drag performers, and I still have such an affinity for not only the charisma and the courage and the imagination and inventiveness of them, but all the community service that they did. It feels like a different generation of performers these days. Today is about the money. Show me the money. Back then it was about the community service and doing something for your community, wanting to be part of it. And I just always had such an admiration and a love for the work. And everybody was just so damn friendly. Everybody was friendly when you went to the bars and drag performers. Everybody was just, it was just so much, it was so comforting.
So I was about 8 years old. You know, I grew up in Connecticut, and my mom would have me stay the summer in Cape Cod. And like during parent weekend, she snuck me off the camp so that we could go to P-Town to eat lobsters.
Oh.
And I don't know if anybody's ever been to P-Town. It's super gay.
Super.
And I love it, right? But we were sitting there and I was like, Mommy, why are those two men wearing leathers and have roses in their mouths, holding hands and skipping? And she leans over and she's like, those are special friends. And my whole life, from that moment on, I thought being gay was very special. So, like my first Broadway show without my parents, where I bought tickets to, was La Cage aux Folles. Mm-hmm. And people are like, they would say to me like, wow, you really like the drag queens, don't you? You know? I'm like, I mean, well, look at me. I'm a drag queen trapped in a woman's body. You know, so I love it, right? And I wanted to do this story because I was just so moved by when I was introduced to Tina and watching her perform. I felt like this is something really special and very dynamic, because I've seen a lot of drag. Yeah. Even at that age, I was 24, I was 23, 24, developing this, and I made it because I wanted it to be a portfolio or a showpiece, you know, to where people could look at it and say, oh, look what she can do with no money.
All right, so this is our call to action. It's brought to you by our episode sponsor, Rodney Highnote. He is a realtor here in Atlanta. Check him out at rodney@ansleyre.com. We so appreciate his support and his financing of our mission here at the Gaily Dose. I did want to share that, you know, the drag community is a very dear one to the Gaily Dose, and it's dear to me too. You introduced me to Kylie Sonique Love.
Yes.
And she gave me her family name of Love. That's why my name is Helmut Lucero Love. Mm-hmm. And I want to leave you with this thought that as we think about the world that's out there and all the greed and all the hate, and then we know that we have all the answers. We really do have a lot of them if we just came together and used our brains more and realized that we can knit our world together with AI, with tech. There is a possibility of a better world. But we're all going to have to agree that drag inspires us to be our best selves. It can help you discover who your unique self is, what your beautiful purpose is. But I would encourage you to remember that no matter what your religion is, our faith in one common thing is what will bring us together, and that is love. Okay, so I encourage you, share this with your friends, follow us online. Our website is thedailydose.com, and as we say so farewell, I'm going to remind you, if Marcy was here, she would say to stand up, to be seen, to start with love for yourself, and show that love to everyone else. Can I get a Southern hell yeah? Yeah!